Okay, good morning, and I'll call to order the January 3rd, 2023, that's the first time I've said that this year, regular meeting of the Haywood County Board of Commissioners. This is our first meeting of the year, and our first order of business will be our pledge, and after that, we usually have an invocation, and Pastor Josh is feeling under the weather this morning, and there's a lot of things going on, so he's not going to be here, so we'll have our moment of silence. So if everyone please stand for the pledge. Okay, we do not have a public hearing today. And our public comment session, I have one person signed up to speak, Monroe Miller.
Howdy doody, my name is Monroe Miller, also known as the Pillsbury Doughboy and the $6 Million Man. I'm going to run through a couple of items that are of current interest to Haywood County taxpayers. A full-page county public notice appeared in the weekend edition of the Mountaineer in late December, calling for a public hearing on a new low-barrier shelter, with David Francis's name splattered all throughout the notice. The public hearing scheduled for this morning was subsequently rescinded by the county. Has anyone been fired over this incident? Next, Brian Moorhead was directed at the last county commission meeting to provide an update on the recovery court. But there's nothing on this agenda about an update. What's going on, and is the county holding this up? County commissioners approved a $1,985,000 to Mosley Architects for architecture and engineering services for the proposed detention center, the new jail last June. How is that money being spent? There has been research put out on a new local website, haywoodhappenings.org, about the Asheville Chamber of Commerce is being paid by Haywood County to promote our economic development. Haywood County is pouring a lot of money for years into the Chamber and the Haywood Economic Development Council. What are the Haywood County taxpayers getting in return for this expenditure? What is Eagle View and/or oblique photographs? This request for public information from Stephanie Parkins, Director of Land Records Geographic Information Services, has been ignored. Stephanie Parkins is now lowered up and turned her request over to Frank Queen, who is a black hole. The town of Waynesville is suing Sherry Rogers, Haywood County Register of Deeds. Will this be handled the same way the school board, where Pat Smathers represents only the school board members, and Trevor Putnam has to secure his own lawyer? Will Frank Queen represent Sherry Rogers? I have yet to hear. The Sheriff's Department has their own lawyer on staff. Will Sherry and our new tax collector have to hire their own staff lawyers, as the sheriff does? I appreciate your allowing time for me to express my concerns. Thank you.
Okay, would anyone else care to address the board this morning? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to constituent concerns. Does anyone, Jennifer, do you have any this morning that you'd like to comment on?
Follow up with county staff, but major this time. So.
Okay. Anything there? Okay. On your comments, Mr. Miller, the recovery court, at our, Bryant sent us an email. By the way, Bryant is sick this morning. Couldn't be here, unfortunately. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of sickness going on around right now. But Bryant sent the board this email, and it says, at our last meeting, the question was asked about where and he sent this at 7:30 this morning. At our last meeting, the question was asked about where the recovery court process is. I think everyone reminded Ms. Pitt that this isn't a function of Haywood County, but is being led by the Chief District Court Judge Wajikarama. I spoke with him after the meeting, and he has his interview panel, and his interview panel were scheduled to conduct the first round of interviews on 12/22, and the final interviews might be this week. His hope is that someone starts before February 15th, depending on how long of a notice they must work. So that's the comment that the county manager has been checking on that. And he's not here this morning to make that comment, so he sent that to the board. As far as the public hearing notice, that was a mistake by the engineer. I think we posted a full-page ad. If you'd have read the next issue, it showed that was a mistake by the engineer that is doing the grant, administering the grant. That was not a low barrier shelter. That word is not used in any of the publications. You made that up. So this is an emergency shelter when we have snowstorms, any type of weather-related event to where we can have folks in a shelter. And that's what exactly that's going to be for. To say it's anything else is not being truthful. Stephanie Parkins is retired, so she will not be answering anything that has to do with whatever it is that you were wanting done. So those are the questions for that. As far as other constituent concerns, I don't really have any. So we'll move on to administrative agency reports and presentations. We have our annual audit report from Gould Killian CPA Group. We have our audit manager, Travis Keever, here this morning, and you're not Travis. Are you?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's good to be here. Thank you for allowing me to come on behalf of Travis, too. I'm a partner at Gould Killian CPA Group. He's actually traveling on audit on a flight yesterday and a flight tonight. So I'm here with him. So just being really brief on your audit takes quite an amount of time, and your financial statements, and I'll mention, is over 160 pages long. So this is, a very, very, very brief, just to kind of check in with your audit. First, I will thank, your staff, but I think Travis, you guys have on this audit a gentleman that has 15 years of experience, audit experience, and some seniors that have years of experience, and I think that brings a lot to the audits. And with that, there's a lot of pressure on us to do many audits and have people like him on them and myself. But thanks you to the county for allowing us to do the audit, for Christian and the staff, and also with the compliance side, DSS. Human Services, there's a lot of programs that we had to test on that side as well. And thanks to that department of working with us, information back and forth. There's so much questions, documentation, and things of the sort. We have issued the audit, the financial statements, 160 pages, 38 pages really is prepared by you guys of statistical information. So there's a lot of information there that you can look at, and also the county. It includes all 20 governmental funds. There are counties out there that may have 3 funds, 4 funds. We've got one county that has about 60 funds. But when you get up to 20 governmental funds, there is so much activity going on. And to really know financially what's going on, you have to have a really good accounting staff. And based on our experience working with you the last many years, you know, with her transition a couple years ago to the finance director, that was always kind of like a pause, like, okay, how's this going to go? And it really does seem very, you know, your finances are kept very stable. The numbers are accurate. I'd say that there are some counties in North Carolina that don't have that. So that's a good thing to have. Many of the changes in accounting every year with especially governmental audit standards and governmental accounting, every year they come up with new standards. And the reason is there may be, we need to disclose this differently so that the commissioners, the banks, the whomever really needs to have this information. This year it was about leases, a new lease standard and how that was presented didn't really impact you guys. You don't have that many leases per se, and financially it didn't really impact. But that was implemented pretty good, smooth with that this year. We did submit the financial statement, and we are awaiting LGC approval. We don't know when that'll be. Some smaller entities, approvals take about 2 weeks. Counties could take 3 or 4. Hopefully this week or next week on the financial statement side, we'll get an approval, LGC, without any issues. One thing that brings to your attention is the June 30th, 21 financial statement. Counties can elect, it's not required to prepare a complete, what they call an ASFR, Annual Comprehensive Financial Statement. And that's what, and Haywood County does do that. And it was awarded a certificate for the 21. And what that is probably 6 months after you issue the audit, it goes actually to an independent party somewhere in the United States. They review it to make sure it meets all the requirements, and then you get the award for it. I would say probably 50% of the counties do this. It does take some more time, and it does provide a lot of information. And one of the good things is I went back to school a couple years ago, mainly because I don't know why I wanted to, but I did. Got my MBA in statistics and business analytics. And one thing that the GFOA with this financial statement has a lot of statistical information in there, and it can go back 10 years. And you never know what you're going to really need 2 or 3 years from now. So it's always good to have the information for the future. And with technology and things, it'll get more and more. In your role, you'll have your constituents, they'll be more apt to go, okay, well, what is the revenue per taxpayer? And they can quickly look it up and compare. But you did get the award for that. Part of the audit, there's really 3 pieces. One is the financial statement side, and that's the financial statement package that was submitted. And then the other side is the compliance. On the financial statement side, we issued clean opinions for all the major programs, and we reported no material weaknesses and internal control over reporting. What our requirements are and what we are allowed to do is tell you that we didn't find any material weaknesses. And what that means is, I guess if you had 3 steps on a stepping stool, it'd be the 3rd step. We can tell you we did not find anything like that. The other 2 steps, we can't give assurance that there's anything out there. I'm sure that there's always room for improvement anywhere you go, but we did not find anything to bring to your attention, especially that you really need to work on. That could be a big issue. The other part is the compliance side. This is a headache, a headache. It's really outside. If you were going to college and said, okay, I want to do accounting, and then they come work for a CPA firm, and they're like, oh, guess what? Your new compliance testing has totally different ballparks. And it's really looking at first, a high level of all your funding. Well, guess what? Every county, every city's been getting a ton of funding. So that's great, but then you have all these compliance requirements. And with that increased funding, there's more testing. Being in North Carolina, one good thing that North Carolina does do is on the state side, they require state single audit as well. And so you have to test most of the time state funding and federal funding. Sometimes federal and state funding commingle, which in the case did for some things. So this year, you had over $13 million in federal expenditures and $2.2 million in state expenditures. So that would be funding that if you had to provide it out of your taxpayer's pocket, that's quite a bit of amount of money there. We have to test specific programs going through a process, and I don't want to explain that. It would take 2 days to explain that. But you can see there with the check marks, we have to test Medicaid every year because the state tells auditors you have to. You get the coronavirus recovery funds, LEAP, child support enforcement, and the 3 state programs. So each program takes anywhere from a day, 3 days, 4 days to test. And so this year, we tested 7. We're in the process of working, we finished up most of the compliance testing last week, trying to tie down different programs. But we'll review she'll review the CFA schedule, and then it's a separate compliance report that will be submitted. In the programs, and I would look at this, there's 7 programs. And out of those programs, we did find what we call material weakness in one of them. And this, if you go back into the number of programs, you may say, oh, goodness gracious. But reality, with the huge amount of increase in funding like this program, basically went up from $650,000 to $1,050,000 of funding for LEAP, and it's energy assistance. And you had over 1,600 applicants. And our testing, we don't test all of them. We tested 40 applicants at random in the LEAP program. And during that process, the first one we found, not say found, but one of the applicants we tested is there's a process whereby the person doing reviewing the applicant's information has to go out on NC-FAST, pull information to provide support for their income. Information came back on this case, and it was blank. Rarely ever happens. They don't know why it happened. We don't know why it happened. But there was no follow-up to say, wait a second, we got to make sure that this person says they made whatever on their Social Security, they qualify or not. Well, with that, and the person said, this is how much I made, based on that information and some other information, they were provided assistance of $648 over 2 different disbursements in total. And you could say is, well, that's not that material. But if you look at it, we tested 1 out of 40, and there's 40 out of 1,564. And based on the numbers, we have to show that as what we call material weakness. We might further this week go down the steps. We might be able to make it, reduce it to a significant deficiency, which is a step below that, but it is something that we have to have. And the other one is, with these programs, so if you're an applicant and you go in, there's 3 different programs there inside of this. Each one has these requirements. They say, okay, here's my application. Well, you have a specific timeline as the county to process that applicant. And a lot of times, you got people on staff, they're on vacation, sick, a lot on turnover is a big issue too. So they'll say one of them is you have 20 days to put in the system whether they are denied or approved for this disbursement. And if you go over 22 days, it's considered what we call not within the time frame. There's many reasons, I believe, why this happened. One is one of the programs, they're working with another municipality with the funding and the communication back and forth. And the other one was there's turnover in the department. But we'll work with, with your finance staff and the program, those involved, and come up with a response and what recommendations to make sure it doesn't happen on this case. But I would say with these findings in one of 7 programs, I'm not too concerned about it. It's not where I would be concerned. It's not like an applicant got paid when they weren't even, based on the information they shouldn't have. This is a case of the first one. The second one is mainly, I think, caused from turnover in departments. So with that, kind of give you a brief of the 20 funds. Here's your general fund, and you can see over the past 4 years, the total fund balance did decline, and it mainly due to, let me make sure I get the reading right here. It was really the public safety side, increased cost due to this Fred's cleanup is one of them. And also, you did move some money over to debt service funds for the colleges and schools, and that's why the fund balance available declined slightly. But you can see here, as a board, you've set, in the past, set your goal, the minimum floor is 11%, and what this means is fund balance available of net expenditures. You set a floor, say we cannot go below 11%, and then you set your floor of 24.5%. That's your, that's what you're saying. We need to have at least this, which is on this graph. And then Haywood County, over the last 4 years, you can see it's hovered between 30 and 40%, which is very positive. And that you could kind of see why that's needed. If you were at 24% or 15%, Fred came again, but God not, where are you going to get the money? And that's why you need to have available fund balance here. On the population group, it's we don't have this year's data. I think there's data on 15 counties as so far for 6/30/22, but that will probably drop, kind of like what you did. But you're in the ballpark of your peers, of your size of a county. A breakdown of where your revenues come from, a little bit 50-60% is your property tax. Your sales tax, 16%. That's been going up every year across the state. Who knows where it'll be years from now. Your grant funding, restricted intergovernmental. There's your CFA money for the year. So that provides a breakdown there. And this is where you spend kind of the functions as if an outsider want to look at. You spend in the general fund itself, you spend 25% or so, 24% on education, public safety. It's more this year, as we know, because of Fred. Human services, DSS, 21 million. That does provide a kind of a support for your county. There's some, that's direct support. That does not, we have Medicaid on your expenditures of the administrative cost, but doesn't include direct payments to people. So that's not even included in the 21 million there. And then generally everything other, the 25%, probably 14% of it is your general government, which is in the realm of what other counties your size are, but that's where you expenditures are. And then your property tax collection, you're close to what The state averages is around 98 to 99% collection rate, and you can see with you lowered your tax rate, which was expected because of your property valuation. And the one thing, I guess, with new staff, you don't really, as a taxpayer or people in the counties, realize, the property value of all the, including utilities, $9.7 billion. It just shows you the magnitude of assets out there, that tax value, that the government's kind of not running the area, but providing support for that much. That does show you really, there's some counties that the property value is $1 billion versus $10 billion. And when you get from $1 billion to $10 billion, I can look at the numbers and see the number of people in departments, the number of staff it takes to run a county. But the property valuation went from 7.8 billion to 9.7. Your taxes collection did go up to 50.8 million. And then you can see your population group average tax rate between 50 and 100,000 residents. It's 62.5, so you are slightly lower. I would say you're really close. Haywood's valuations is higher than probably a lot of the states around the state because being close to Asheville and everything just cost, everything's going up the same. So let me see. So that's just a big picture on your audit. Again, we do thank you for the time allowing us to do the audit and working with your staff. Do you have any questions? This is a very, very high level information.
I just, when you were showing, the compliance that Christians had to deal with, one of the ones was probably the flood compliance, which was new, a lot of that funding. And I know, Christian, it takes a lot of staff to make sure that we're in compliance. And what that means is, the government, the state and feds give us money, and then we have to, there are parameters on how that's spent, and we have to show that. So our staff works a long time, or a lot of hours, making sure that we're in compliance with that. So I appreciate Kristen and her staff and the hard work it takes. I mean, you had the regular programs that we have that you showed,
Right.
but then we have Fred, and then COVID is kind of a new one,
Right.
because there was so much money that was given for that. So I appreciate, Christian, you and your staff. Did you want to make any comments, or not really?
No, I don't mind to answer any questions you have.
I'll make one comment. I know the ARPA money, and is it a good example? And it's kind of like on the tax side, like a CPA from IRS. The rules change in midstream. And with ARPA funding,
Yeah.
the amount of, and it was frustrating, as being an auditor, I need to work 80, 100 hours a week myself, and they had 8 hours of training, every 2 or 3 weeks on ARPA? Oh, no, don't worry what we told you 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then she has to come back to you, and the requirements to get a ordinance or whatever. It is frustrating.
Yeah, we had to be so careful, because if you spend it and it's not qualified, then you've got to come up with that money
Right.
out of your fund balance and everything. So I know it was a constant, in between Bryant and Christian, it was a constant struggle to make sure that we could spend it on these items, for certain things, because, and it did change. It kind of evolved as time, as time went on. So it was, I appreciate,
And two,
I appreciate
if you
your
don't,
staff,
and I
our
know
staff.
there's cases, finance directors didn't participate in those, and they missed out. And the board was like, what's going on? Why can't
Yeah.
we spend it? And now they have to spend X more dollars so they could spend it.
Right,
Correct?
right.
Per the guidelines, so.
Anybody have any questions?
You know, I just happened to notice he referenced Tropical Storm Fred in reference to our fund balance. You know, if y'all remember, we had to pump in $6 million to jumpstart the cleanup with hopefully being reimbursed from FEMA at some point in time. And I know from other commissioners in other counties down east, sometimes that process might take 4 to 5 years before we see that funding reimbursed by the federal government. And so, yes, if we do have another Tropical Storm Fred, fortunately we do, our fund balance took a hit, but, you know, fortunately we're still very, very strong in that aspect.
And the other thing too is, this is at 6/30/22. You don't get all your property taxes on 7/1. So you have to carry yourself on another 2-3 months. And it's a headache. If you really have like a low cash balance and low fund balance, it makes the job that much more stressful. And you'll have a lot more eyes on you that for no reason. I mean, for a reason if you were low, but you know, those are things you want to be on there to make best improvements, do what's right for the citizens. So.
And on this graph that you've got, that I'm looking at right now, that one there, so the population group average tax rate, that's counties of like size, is that what that is? So counties of like size is around 63 in 2001, and we're at 58, so
right.
We're below that, so that's a positive for the
And
county.
two, positive thing is there's also, they call it the neutral tax rate, which they kind of look at all your sales tax rates, compare them, and kind of neutralize, and it's pretty close to 63 cents for the county average as well. So you were in both ways below, which is good. So.
And then the other thing that hit our fund balance a little bit was when we took the money for the community college, so that's not showing up. Where did that?
So that is really, that right there in 22, seeing it where it dropped from 39 million to 33 million, that is one of the reasons it dropped, because of moving, transferring the funds per the ordinance over to those funds. You know, and that's a one-time deal. That's not
So that'll reflect from now on, but you can't really go back. It's apples to oranges if you go back, so.
And also your sales tax, part of your sales tax does not go directly in the general fund, or it does, but then a portion of it's allocated to debt service, which is good to do. Why put in a fund and then move it out for its legal purpose.
And that was the quarter-cent sales tax, is that? Yeah, okay. All right, and our board, I will say this too, just for our board, the quarter-cent sales tax was passed for the community college, and we make sure that it goes to the community college. I know in Buncombe County, they had a sales tax, either the quarter-cent or half-cent that was supposed to go to the community college, and the county spent it. They didn't use it for the community, well, a lot of it for the community college. They only used a portion of it. So, and it was the tune of several years ago was $15 million. So, but our county, I just wanted to point that out, that our county does do what the voters ask us to do, and it goes to the community college. So, and that goes for them to build their buildings and to help with that. So. And
I think that's too, you know, as a commissioner, having the ordinances, like you did, you know, no, vagueness is not good. You know, you want direct, this is what it's for, this is what it is. You know, you don't want to have, this is what we could use it on. So.
Right, yeah.
Which is, that's a good thing too.
Yeah.
How many counties are you exposed to in your line of work? Do you do audits for several?
We do 5 or 6 counties. The hard thing about, unless our firm, and the reason why I'm at a smaller firm is I don't want to just, you know, glaze over 30 audits on the county side, because they take so much time. Like in a county audit, your county, 600-800 hours of staff time, our staff time. And
well, it's very thorough.
It takes some time. I was at a board meeting when I was younger, years because I didn't know what to respond. I remember it's like 2003, a gentleman asked, well, have you audited every number? I'm like, how do I answer that? But, you know, we audit the county. We're looking at a lot of things, but if we have a staff, 4 or 5 people working on it, and it takes us 800 hours, and you have a staff of how many? 8 full-time every day, you know, the whole process, there's no way we can look at everything. Luckily with systems and computers, we can check to make sure things are occurring like they're supposed to, but yep, it's a fun job.
Anybody have any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for coming
Thank
this morning.
you, thank you.
We appreciate, Christian, you and your staff. Let them know, okay? Okay, our next item under agency reports is the update on Haywood County Senior Resource Center activities. And we have our Senior Resource Center Manager, John Chacoin. Welcome, John. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for taking time to allow me to speak to you just for a few minutes, I hope. I don't talk to you too much, but I haven't been before the board in 3 years because of things. But it's great to be back, and just wanted to give you a little history because some of the commissioners are new. We've been, the Senior Resource Center has been in existence for about 13 years now, with the $100,000 that we get from the county each year. And I've been doing that position for about 10 years now. And so it's our mission statement, and I'll give you the official, and then I'll give you the easy one that I use every day. But the mission of the Haywood County Senior Resource Center is to equip, empower older adults in Haywood County to live in their own homes as long as they wish, and are able to do it safely by maximizing community resources and building collaborations. It comes really down to education, services, and fun, plain and simple. We're really trying to get to our seniors, and especially during the last 3 years, we really discovered that, and I never thought about it too much before, but isolation is the #1 thing that we've had to battle during this period of time. And I'll just hit up on some of our programs real quick and how we've done that throughout the last 3 years. But again, with the money that we get from the county, we try to provide as many services to our seniors as possible, and throughout different ways. And some of these programs are, you give a 10% from the, I call it the HCBG Elemental P funding that we get each year. But those are our senior companion program. We have about 40 volunteers in our community that go out and help other volunteers in the community. And they may get their groceries for them, they may take them to the doctor, or whatever they do. During the last 3 years, they continue to do that. And they continue to serve the seniors, getting the seniors out of the home. And at the same time, they're felt useful. And I know one of our seniors, I swear, I saw her every day doing something. I'm like, you know, you got to be kind of careful. And she goes, yeah, but I got to take care of my clients. So that was kind of cool. Our foster grandparent program, we have about 25 to 30 people in the schools that work with children. During, of course, the last 3 years, they weren't able to do anything really in the schools, but they're back in the schools now and providing that service. They like to be called grannies, and they're working with children in the schools that are vulnerable and sometimes don't even have a grandparent at home, so that they really can use them as help, of course. Our congregate programs, we have 3 congregate sites in the county. We served in 21 to 22. We've served over 15,000 meals. And before that, we never shut down our sites during even the 3 years. Last year, we went back to full-time in the having to sit down and have a meal. But our people were serving meals out the back door. And fortunately, through the state, we're able to use special funding to do that. But snow, rain, it didn't matter. We were still serving meals. We actually served a lot more meals than we'd ever had before because people were needing that service, and we're still able to drive. And it was funny, even though they're just coming up and getting a meal, that was a little connection with somebody in that day. And at least they got to stop, they chatted for a few minutes and went on their way. Again, it's a great way to keep on going and keeping our seniors going. And we served about 264 seniors that way. Our in-home services, where we have aides that go into homes and provide that service, again, even during the last 3 years, got their groceries, got their medicines, continued to do that. We serve about 85 clients with that, and over 4,000 hours in that program. So again, keeping seniors in their homes and being able to provide that service to them somehow, one way or another. The Haywood Volunteer Center, during the last August, we did place 209 volunteers into the community. I had a great volunteer person come in. I just happened to be going on vacation during that time, and she came in and coordinated things as I did it on the internet and stuff, and she did the in-person. So we were able to connect those volunteers into the community, which was pretty cool, and I appreciate it. Tana Timms is her name, and did a great job. She came in and hammered it, so it was great. We, on a regular basis, we connect about 80 volunteers in the community each year, and that's about within 60 organizations in the community. So we're always looking for new volunteers in that capacity. The Senior Healthcare Insurance Information Program, last year we served 589 people. Those were unduplicated. And many of those people I see more than once or 3 times sometimes. But we saved just prescription costs that year, $332,000 in prescription costs. So what we come up with that is when they go on to Medicare, the costs at that point, or when they go from during open enrollment, which we just ended, they go from a prescription plan that may have cost them more because the rates were going up or things like that. There's so many variables. But or a plan, I had a couple that had been paying $109 for their prescription plan a month for the last 8-9 years. One of them took 1 prescription, the other one didn't take any prescriptions, went from $109 to $4.20 a month. So again, education, getting out there and giving people information so that they can be informed and again, stay in their homes, because some people are in the grocery line saying, I'm not too sure if I'm going to pay for prescriptions or pay for food. So anyway, those are some of the programs that we do outside of the Senior Resource Center. Within the Senior Resource Center, we really pride ourselves to getting out and keeping the seniors active as much as we can. Thrifting, they love those thrift trips. The ladies enjoy that a lot. Hikes, I like to go out and take maybe a small hike. We do a 3-hour hike, an hour and a half in, an hour and a half out. If they can't walk that far, we ask them just sit, enjoy the stream, enjoy being outside again, getting them out. And again, it's unlike some of the other programs where they're long, they may be strenuous. We're not looking for that. We're just looking to get people out into the community. We went to Tryon. Asheville tourist game is always a big hit. They get pampered there. Again, different kinds of things in the community. And then just this year, back in like July of 2021, we finally decided to allow people back into the center. We were really kind of, well, we were allowing people in the center, but very small groups. if you were going to play cards, we only had 2 tables in a room. If we were doing bingo, we only allowed 15 people in the room. So last July, we decided that we're going to go back to a larger group, not full capacity, but allowing more people in. The first time we had bingo at 35 people, I almost had a heart attack because it felt really weird to have that many people in a room. But it was good, again, people being out, and people go, well, what do you do bingo for? Well, first off, they love bingo. Second off, it's 2 hours, they get out. I get a person always coming up and saying, you know, we look forward to this because we're out with other seniors. And so again, it may be not a big deal, but it's a big deal to them. I've realized that. And we even got a phone system which allow people to call in and do bingo on the phone. So we found that some people that didn't want to come to the center, we were still serving them and allowing them to participate. And so we did that. That's for the last 2 years. We do Parkinson's, dementia. With the Sheriff's Department, we do the Project Lifesaver. We have about 13, 14 people now on that program where they wear a bracelet on their hand, on their arm. And so in case they do wander, the Sheriff's Department has 3 units that have the tracking devices in them. And so each division has one, I believe. And so they can get out there quickly and find that person, which is very valuable, I think. And so we do that. Food classes we've never had this many people. Estate planning, we had 33 people. Again, people getting back into swing of things. We started this new class, somewhere in the state they do it, but aging matters. And if you know Larry Reeves, and he's the board president over at the health department, the DSS, I'm sorry. But anyway, he does that class, and he's retired, and he's been participating with seniors forever, and does a great job. And each month, it's getting bigger and bigger, and we talk about subjects as dementia, going into a long-term facility, those kind of things, and he's lighthearted too, so he's able to really bring that information out of the seniors, and I think it's a really great deal. That information was for the last year, but last couple months, we had a Thanksgiving lunch that we did finally just at the center. We were doing takeout before that, but this year we did it. We served 60 people at the senior center, which was really cool. Christmas trips, we did actually 3 Christmas trips because we got such a demand for it. The last one I put out on a Monday or something like that. Within 2 hours, it was full. We're just going to run around and look at Christmas lights. But everybody remembers the days that we were kids, and we did that. Well, the seniors love it. And so we took 2 hours in the evening and took them around town and just enjoyed the lights. And some things that I think are crazy sometimes that I don't think are going to work. And I go, I can't find, one night I couldn't find too many lights. And they're like, no, we had fun, we got out, we were doing something. So I minimize sometimes our activities, and I shouldn't. Caregiver list, we have a caregiver list that 82 families have gotten, and this is an important thing I think we do, is we do background checks on the people that want to be on this list. So they do a background check, we make sure that they don't have a criminal history. Then the families come in, and especially around the holidays, we find many times that they come and see grandma or mom or dad, and they discover that they've declined some. They finally realize that they need some help. So we have about 30 people on that list, and so they come in, get it, and hopefully they get connections and are able we're able to assist with that. So outreach, we do I do, in fact, this morning I was supposed to be doing it, but I came to you guys instead. But WPTL, we do a little thing, and it's a like 10-minute thing the first Tuesday each month. But again, I found that it's we've been doing it for about 6, 7 years now. It's finally kind of, it's during the swap shop or whatever they call that, you know, the flea market thing. So I get good time. At least people are listening to me. But I find that people are saying, hey, I listen to you on the radio. And so we're another way of doing things. We're involved in senior games. We talk to the community all the time. We did the elder abuse awareness walk. In the future, we're going to do, we got a thing through the state that to give away 100 pairs of shoes to seniors that are specially made. And we're going to do that in the spring. We're doing a drug, not a drug, but some over-the-counter prescriptions, not prescription, I shouldn't call them, but things that people need. There's a state organization that gives it away. We're going to be involved in that. We're also a shred-a-thon we're going to do in the spring too. So we're going to stay pretty busy with that too. Richard Reeves is always unbelievable. Richard he delivered 386 loads of wood last year. Always so super busy. In information and assistance, and that's why we're called the Resource Center. We just don't do games and activities and things. We're really concentrating also on making sure that people have the resources to stay in their homes. We served almost 2,000 people that way last year. There's you guys have in your packets, I believe, 2 things, and it says stats from 2022, that's actually 21. But you can see our recreation and entertainment, those are card games, bingo, all those kind of things. 700 unduplicated, 107, 700 duplicated, involving 1,800 hours. Special events, like I say, that's Turkey Day, those kind of things, 104. But again, we have a new system that we thought was important to have. It's nice to do the ticks. For years, we did the tick thing. And everybody that came in, well, we got a tick for you. But then we got this, the new system. It's My Senior Center, where everybody comes in, they swipe a little card. We know that you're in the building, you know what you're going to do that day. And actually, for the last couple of months, last year, people are actually realize that they come in, and if we don't have it turned on, they're really upset that we don't have it. But it's kind of cool. The trips thing, again, it showed we had a total of 122 and unduplicated 75 people. So again, as we're busy over at the Senior Resource Center, we continue to grow. My attitude is shouldn't be in this position if we don't keep on finding ways to serve the seniors of our county. And hopefully we'll continue to do that. And there we are. Any questions?
John, I'd just like to comment on your packet right here. You recognized, I guess, a soon-to-be centenarian.
Oh, yes.
Centenarian, yeah.
And she is, yeah. She works at one of the adult daycares, and 100 years old.
Yeah.
And she works there 3 days a week. And and she says, if I stayed at home, I wouldn't be, I'd dwindle away. And so it shows that staying active is so important. And again, that's what we're all about.
No question. Do you have another question?
Well, I was just going to ask you if somebody out there watching this would like to volunteer and help you folks with some of these elderly folks in our county, how would they go about doing that?
Sure, we're at 81 Elmwood Way, which is, of course, a county building. I always say for the old folks, it's the old chicken coop. And then for the newer people, it's the old bargain barn, carpet barn. But it's, again, at 81 Elmwood Way, just down from the old Kmart, as I say. And our number is 356-2800 is our number.
You know, I've noticed folks that give their time to help people, and they're happy and joyful and live a long life, a quality life, and
right.
that means something. And,
exactly.
You know, where this lady gets up at 100 years old and her purpose is to help people.
Exactly.
You know, and my hat's off to folks that do that. You know, they're happy, they die happy. And on the flip side, other folks who get up and just, you know, looking for,
And just for her to know that people need her,
yeah.
you know, and people do need her, and it's just kind of a neat thing to see. I'll probably need her.
Yeah, well, I think we all do. Just a comment, I'm privileged, I guess, to sit on that board at the Senior Resource Center, and appreciate John and your staff and what you guys do. You know, I was blown away when I first got involved at the stuff that you guys do. You know, it's amazing, and it is good, you know, that y'all do stuff, because people, just to have that interaction with somebody else, it goes a long way. But one thing I thought that you had mentioned, and didn't hear it, I apologize if I missed it, but you might want to mention the tax help that you guys.
Oh, yes.
I mean, tax season's right around the corner, and
Right.
and you guys do an excellent job with that. So you might want to comment on
Right,
that.
right, and I should have mentioned that,
That's
yes.
okay.
And Bruce Johnson is a retired CPA. Now he's getting about 85 or so he's getting up there. And this year, he said, at the end of last tax season, he told me, "I'm not doing it anymore." I said, "Yeah, sure, right." So, so he, most of the year, he said no. And I was looking around at different ways of filling that position. So it's not easy to find somebody that wants to put that many hours in that he does. And so he came back to me about 2 months ago and said, "Guess what, John, I'm going to do it again." I said, "You sure?" And he goes, "Yeah." So we're going to restrict it this year of just people that he's helped in the past. I think this will be the last year. We're talking to the AARP, maybe allowing them to somehow do the service here at our center too. But he has raised, this is unbelievable. He thinks so much of the Senior Resource Center that he has, any money, he takes donations, and after he pays, he has a program that he has to pay for each year. But after that, he gives all the money back to us. And he's given us over $30,000 over the last 8 years. So, and that allows us to, we do a big wing ding, we get a big tent, and then hot dogs and hamburgers and all kinds of stuff. And he fully funds that. And he's there to help when we do it. And so the tax service has been really, at first, he came to us and said, "Hey, you know, do you want somebody to do this?" And I said, "Yeah, we want somebody to do it." And so he said yes, and he spends, I mean, AARP is open 2 days a week for about 4 hours each day. He's there almost every day for at least 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours maybe. And if he's not making enough money, he said he does extra hours so he can make sure that he gives us extra money so we can provide those services, you know, extra things for the seniors. So it's crazy. Bruce Johnson is his name, and he's just done a wonderful job for us.
I know the hot dog dinner that you're talking about, that's a big hit. I mean, every time I've ever been there.
I like to go.
Yeah, it's very good, and a lot of people, a lot of attendance, so.
Yeah, we average about 150 people.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you, appreciate the staff.
Thank
Might
you.
be a good idea if we have you come back at least once a year and
Yeah.
give a report. So.
I agree, and I will.
And John, I just wanted to say too, so if people have questions about Social Security or Medicare, they can come, you have someone there that can counsel them on that, because I know Medicare, you've got all these options and things.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I don't do Social Security. Of course, when I became the manager, I was doing the SHIP program, and Patsy, of course, said, you know, well, why don't we make you manager? And I said, no, not really. But I said, okay, I'll be manager, but I won't let the SHIP program go. And so so I do that program, and I do have a couple of volunteers also that do it, but I don't do Social Security, I just do the Medicare portion.
Medicare? Well, that's a complicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anything to do with Medicare, if you're new, we sit down, we talk about all the options. It's through the North Carolina Commission on Insurance, so we're not pressuring you with what to do. We give you a bunch of things at the end of the day and say, go do your homework and decide what's going to work for you. And so it works out real well for people. Of course, they always ask, what does your mother do? But we can't do that. But again,
Right.
It's a great service.
And then the prescriptions, so I know that's a big burden on a lot of seniors, so you do have staff.
Right, exactly. And
you've gone over that.
it's so cumbersome because,
Right.
each year, just this year, a plan went from $30 a month to $66. They're hoping that people don't pay attention to that. And then, in fact, I got a call just the other day and said, after open enrollment, and said, well, my plan changed, and what do I do now? I said, you're stuck for a year. But the insurance company in the plan is the same plan as the $12.90 plan. But they changed the plan so that you're in hopes that you don't pay attention. And unfortunately, people don't. And so
Okay.
during that open enrollment, October 15th to December 7th each year, we serve we served 305 people this year. And so again, nothing against the insurance companies or anything, but they're looking for the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
We're looking out for the senior and to make sure that they're getting the best deal for their money. So that's so important, I think.
I appreciate that. I know that's always a concern for my mom and stuff
Right.
for some of the prescriptions she's
Right,
got.
right.
So I appreciate that.
All right.
And you were talking about bingo. You know, you have to really pay attention when you're playing bingo. So I could see how that would keep the mind working.
Yes.
Because
And we do these goofy ones that are like, different ones. Again, and to look at their faces and everything and watch them to see how well they're comprehending that. And so of course I do the bingo and I goof around with them, so it makes it even goofier. So, but it's again, it's another way. Always thought, oh, well, what are seniors doing this bingo thing for? Till I got involved and I found out, man, it's using their mind.
yeah,
I mean,
it is. It really does.
And for some ladies, I go a little too fast, and I go, well, you got to keep up, So, of course, I slow down a little bit. But at the same time, it's making them use their mind, and that's so important, I think, no matter
Exactly.
what we're doing.
They don't take that bingo serious, do they, John?
No, I like how we go to Manna and we get some prizes for them, just so that they get they're little prizes, but they go up there and they're touching everything. I said, get out of there! Don't be touching those things. But it's amazing what we stopped doing trinkets. We used to do trinkets and stuff. Now we do things that they can use. And it may be a bottle of vitamins. It could be toilet paper. It could be, it's amazing. I never understood. And we put in our Christmas boxes, we forgot to say that, but we did over about 250 Christmas boxes this year for seniors. But we put simple things in there like toilet paper, paper towels, laundry soap. Those kind of things go a long way. We stopped doing trinkets a long time ago because it's not useful.
Right,
And but again, it's those little things that they walk away and they get their bag and they're bringing out vitamins and all kinds of crazy things I wouldn't think that they're interested in.
It keeps them coming back.
Yeah, yep. And Kevin, that's what it's really about. We're always looking for ways how are those people going to be affected, and how are we going to get them to come back? And at first, and I'm going too long, I know, but at first when I took over, we weren't doing trips or anything. We were doing some educational things at the center, and that was it. And then I made the mistake and said, well, you know what? I think we'll do trips, and that'll bring in different people. And most of our trips are $5, so it's it's affordable for the low-income senior or the high-income senior. It doesn't matter. And so when we started trips, I didn't realize that that'd be one of the centerpieces of our center, but it really is. They love going on trips, and it may be just, and we try to do an educational thing and then a fun thing on the trip. Again, going to a historical house maybe, and then going to lunch. They love it. And they said, we would have never done this. And it saves them from driving. So again, it's getting them, how do we get them back? And part of that too is getting the locals to participate as well as the people that are here half-time. And so we really try to focus on what's working for our local people as well as those, because a lot of our card players and that kind of thing are from Florida and stuff. But we've started some other games where our locals come in and play. It may be, you know, some other card game or something like that, but they decide what the game is going to be that week. So we've drawn people in that way. And one short story, because this is really brings it all together, I think. We did a trip not too long ago for high tea. Now, how did I get roped into that? I was the driver. So my major problem or issue was, and I was all stressed, my neck was tighter than tight by the end of the day. But we had low-income seniors with income, or seniors that make more. And I was afraid that their interconnecting would be an issue and things like that. And so we went to this place for high tea. They all had a good time. They were all interacting and everything, and it went fine. I mean, it's just great to see that they're able to, and that's what we want, is we want that, just not one category, not like the cliques in the high school or anything like that. We want to serve all our seniors. I went too long on that.
No, that's okay.
Thank you. You're doing a
I was
fine
at
job.
the senior center. Early voting is, you know, at the other
Right.
end. And I was there one afternoon when you came back from a trip where the ladies had been thrifting.
Yep.
They loved that, I can promise you.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were chattering like schoolgirls coming off that van and with all their treasures that they had found that day. So, yeah.
We almost have to take an extra van.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
for all the stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The people that go there are very vested in that resource, and we were there for several days, and to see people that came and played cards or went on trips, they're very vested in what you do, and so it's a great service to our community.
thank you.
you.
All right, thanks for your time,
Thanks,
folks. I
John.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Okay. The commission had started that, I guess, back in 2009. We really didn't have Senior Resource Center here in the county, and so we partnered with Mountain Projects to do that. So that's been a great program that we started, and I think we were only one of 2 counties in the state that didn't have a Senior Resource Center. And so Mountain Projects, we partnered with them to do that, and it's been a great for the county. And I appreciate all y'all do, John. Okay, so that was okay to go a little bit long because we have a very short agenda. I don't have a discussion or adjustment to the agenda. Does anyone have anything? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and there are 3 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone have any question about any of those 3 items? One is just the minutes, and the other one is, the other 2 are.
This one question is on item number 3, the Evergreen Pay Study, that 9,500. Is that just some leftover amounts that we owe, Christian? Okay.
Yeah, come on down, Christian.
That was part of the funds that were budgeted in 2021. They were not billed in fiscal year 2022 either. They were just now billed. So we had previously budgeted but not paid those funds. They didn't bill us till they had completely wrapped up the whole job description, everything. So this is the last of that, but it had been previously budgeted.
Okay, I thought it had been budgeted, but this is the last of it,
Yes,
is
this
that
is the
correct?
last of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And that has helped us keep staff, that study.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
definitely.
so that's been a real,
Yes.
real positive.
But it's
Okay.
money well spent.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
right, yeah. Good way to look at it. Okay, thank you for that, Brandon. Anything else, anybody? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. We approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay, we do not have any regular agenda items or appointments or closed sessions. So does anybody have anything else?
I would like to say one closing word, Mr. Chairman. I'm on the Haywood County Cattlemen's Association, and the president of the Haywood County Cattlemen's Association, Mr. Josh Sarles, passed away suddenly 2 Fridays ago, and he served that organization very well. It was a shock. He was 47 years old, and I attended the funeral the other day, and Solomon said it's better to go to the house of mourning than it is the house of a party, and there was a lot to learn there. His family was heartbroken, and naturally a lot of his friends. But I just do want to give a shout out to that family and say posthumously thank you, Mr. Sarles, for your service to that organization and this county. Very well liked, very well respected man, and I'm certainly his family will miss him, and we all will. And so just want to recognize him posthumously.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing that, Tommy. I also, Wade Francis, which is a former county commissioner, passed away since our last meeting, and I want to give his family condolences, and we appreciated his service. He served from 1998 to 2002, and he was very involved in the farming community, and I know he was a dairyman, I guess. Okay, so, but we appreciate Wade and all that he's done for our county. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, hearing that, I'll entertain a motion. We adjourn.
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we're adjourned, and everybody be safe.